We'll call this meeting to order at 7:03 p.m. This is a regular meeting of the governing body of the Borough of Bloomingdale, Tuesday, January 24th, 2017. At this time, I'd ask everyone to please rise to salute our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Dunleavy.
Here.
Council members Hudson.
Present.
Councilman Costa, excused this evening. Delariva.
Here.
D'Amato.
Here.
Sandemeyer.
Here.
Yazdi.
Here. Also with us are Municipal Clerk Jane McCarthy and Borough Attorney Dawn Sullivan. This is an official meeting of the governing body of the Borough of Bloomingdale on December 28th, 2016. The date, time, and place of this official meeting was faxed and mailed to all local news media and posted here at Borough Hall. Our first order of business, and if I seem rushed, it's because I am, we have a very special presentation to Sasha Bross, who I think is in the middle of a basketball game, so we got to get her back. So with that said, I'm going to invite Councilwoman Dawn Hudson off the dais with me to tell us a little bit about the program and the award tonight before we call Sasha. Was it halftime or like first closing?
I just told the mayor, I'm like, we gotta get her out of here. It's an important game tonight.
Councilwoman?
Thank you. So, for those of you who don't know and don't recall from last year, with the help of Jojo Catalano, we encouraged the fifth graders to make a poster about everything that they loved about Bloomingdale. And last year and this year, we had a number of people enter, and this year Sasha was the winner. And I mean, I think that everybody can see from the picture that she drew, it's gorgeous, and it really does reflect a lot of the wonderful things that we have about Bloomingdale. We have the green space and the lakes, and I love the bridge, and you did a wonderful job, and I'm really proud of everyone, and it was lovely to see how many people participated, and really also if it was not for the great effort of JoJo and Mary Catalano also, who was instrumental in making this program work, and I can't thank them enough. So John will...
And the winner, their artwork.
I'm sorry, yes, the artwork is put on the town's cover page for the town's Facebook page for a month. And so it's been up there for a few weeks now. It'll stay up there for a few more weeks, and we got a lot of lovely comments. Sasha, I don't know if your mom got a chance to read the comments too, but you should take a chance to read all of those because you really had a lot of people that absolutely loved it. So congratulations.
Good. Yes, thank you, Councilwoman. Sasha, I'm going to invite you up, please, to join me here before I present. How are you?
Good.
So, were you winning the game?
Time.
Well, I welcome you here. I welcome your parents. Thank you for being here. I welcome your grandparents and say happy birthday to your grandfather here tonight. Mary and JoJo, thank you for putting this program together. And Sasha, we're presenting you tonight a certificate of achievement presented to Sasha Bross, in proud recognition of your first place award received in the second annual 2016 Borough of Bloomingdale Poster Contest. We commend you on representing your community and Walter T. Bergen School with your talent and creativity. We proudly present this by the entire governing body to you this 24th day of January 2017, and it has our gold seal signed by me, and congratulations to you. Congratulations. We also proudly present to you the Borough pin, which we all wear on our suits and lapels, and I present that to you as well. Thank you. Your game, and hope you win. Yeah, sorry, yeah. Georgia, why don't you come up for the picture? Oh, want to take a quick picture?
Yeah.
Right here in the middle. You good? Would you get
Right
it?
there.
Good, thank you.
Oh, turn around this way. There you go.
Good?
Oh,
Very good.
You want one more? Got it? Okay. All right, thank you
guys.
again.
Congratulations.
JoJo, thank you. Mary, thank you very much. No problem.
Thanks, Mary Jo.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Good luck in the game. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. No, we gotta move along. When she comes, I'll just introduce her. Thank you, everyone. Our second presentation this evening, you know what, I'm going to move the dais around, the podium, excuse me. I'm going to invite Linda Carney from our Board of Health and Gail, you pronounce it Gratzel? Gratzel, also from the Pequannock Township Board of Health, our Board of Health, to talk tonight about a few issues regarding tobacco laws and potential licensing fee for businesses that sell e-cigarettes. So if the two of you would come up, and I'll go back on the podium and I'll give a little more background. So the governing body knows the Board of Health is an autonomous board, and they can implement their own ordinances if they choose to do so. But when it came to the topic of the smoking issue and the e-cigarette issue, I'll get in a little more detail in a moment, the Board of Health and Gail reached out to me in the end of middle to the end of last year about two things. Considering changing our ordinances to make the age to purchase cigarettes in the borough of Bloomingdale 21 years old. The state law is 18. And is this?
Yes.
Karen? Hey. Also joining is Karen Blumfeld, who's Executive Director of the Global Advisors on a Smoke-Free Policy. So how are you, Karen? Welcome. Thank you for being here. Okay, great. So why don't you come up next to the ladies at the podium. So, as I stated, the Board of Health reached out. I had put some feelers out to the council, and there was mixed feelings about the two topics, so I figured we'd have you guys in to give a little better understanding for us. And the reason, one, because the governing body should be inclusive in this decision-making process, although the Board of Health is autonomous, the current smoking laws on the books, as far as no smoking at ball fields, 25 feet from the buildings, et cetera, were done by the mayor and council over the history of the borough. So ideally, would be amending our current smoking ordinances, and if for some reason the governing body didn't, the Board of Health could always move on these two issues themselves, being that they're autonomous. Now, again, was the age to make it 21 in Bloomingdale to purchase cigarettes. The Board of Health does a very aggressive job in monitoring illegal sales of cigarettes. Summonses have been issued on multiple occasions.
Yeah, we had 4 establishments
Okay.
this year that sold.
And then some of the, just to give you guys some background, some of the position on the governing body was, well, if it's the state law, let the state monitor that. Why are we getting involved in overriding whatever the state is doing? And that's just a position I want you to know is felt among some. The other one is to establish a $750 licensing fee for businesses that sell electronic cigarettes. And there again, something we can all have a quick discussion about. And I know there was concern, not concern, questions about, well, the state doesn't require that license fee like they do on regular cigarettes. Why are we getting involved type of thing? And so that's why we're here to have that discussion, to enlighten the governing body. And I turn the floor over to 3 of you to present what you need to present. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. First, let's look at the age issue. One of the things that's of grave concern to the members of the Board of Health is that young people can start smoking at 19, and the reality is that the brain development in young adults goes on till 21, 22, 23 years old, depending on the individual. So there's a great deal of risk associated with brain development when we're allowing these young people to continue to smoke. There's also, as you know, the usual cancer warnings. They're the same for the young people as they are for everyone else. Nicotine also is addictive, and it is an entry-level drug. The research shows that if a young person starts smoking when they're a teen or a young adult, they are more likely to continue to smoke for the rest of their life. So those are the main issues that the Board of Health was talking about related to age. Do you guys want to add anything?
I would say also if someone does not start smoking until the age of 21, well, actually, if you don't smoke by the time you're 21, you're usually not going to wind up smoking. And today, more and more younger middle school and high school students are doing e-cigs, and then from there, they're getting addicted to the nicotine and they're going to smoking. I think 30% of teenagers that start on e-cigarettes eventually end up smoking, whereas students or kids that have never smoked cigarettes or e-cigs and just go to cigarettes, the rate is like 8%. So that's a huge difference in rates too. And Karen is the expert on the legislation for the state of New Jersey.
Sure, I'll just add, do you need me to speak in? Are you
No, you're
recording?
fine. You're loud
Oh,
enough.
okay.
We're good.
Okay, so thank you again for having me come. Again, my name is Karen Blumenfeld. I'm the Executive Director of the nonprofit Global Advisors on Smoke-Free Policy. We've existed in the state of New Jersey for over 40 years, and we have continued to provide educational resources to communities that want to do tobacco control policies. In the past, it was mostly about making sure that people were protected against secondhand smoke and vapor smoke, and our state has done a phenomenal job with regards to both of those. In addition to that, we work on access of these products to young people. And I do want to echo also my thanks for your community back in 2000 and 2004 for being true leaders when it came to smoke-free parks. Your town was one of the first to do so, as well as banning cigarette vending machines and self-service displays of tobacco products. So you've already come like really far in that time frame, and a lot has changed since 2000. So in particular, what's changed? Well, 90% of all people start smoking before they turn age 21, and smoking is the #1 cause of preventable disease and preventable death, not only in our state but our nation and the world. So as local policymakers, we're really happy to see that you want to become educated on this topic, especially since it costs our state hundreds of billions of dollars a year in healthcare costs. It's $3 billion a year, $3 billion a year in healthcare costs that our state pays the burden, which is really on the taxpayers, for smoking-related disease and illness. So we're not talking only about from the standpoint of a public health epidemic that continues, but as well as from a financial perspective from the state. So with regards to tobacco 21, we all know that alcohol is also 21. There's no extra burden on retailers with regards to the identification of checking young people, because they already have to check for people that look under the age of 27 as per federal law. So that's something that you should know about. In addition, our U.S. military is moving towards being tobacco-free, and every branch of the military already has a tobacco cessation service program for every single member. And we've had a lot of information with regards to the military in that handout, so that's very important. Clearly, just about every medical association, from the American Pediatrics Association, the American Medical Association, as well as associations like Cancer Society, Lung and Heart Association, all support Tobacco 21 for similar reasons that I'm educating you about today. There are more than 21 towns in the state of New Jersey that have already done 21. Patterson has done so, as well as I believe it's North Halden in your county, and then of course Hanover Township and others as well. And our organization is educating more than a dozen towns at the same time, like as we speak right now. So this is a big movement. With regards to the state, we really don't see Tobacco 21 happening on the state level. It was vetoed by our current governor, and there is a new version for the new legislative session. It's already passed the Senate, and I think it may have already passed the full assembly, or it's in the Health Committee, but we don't foresee that that's going to happen during his last year. New Jersey, as well as almost every state in this nation, it always moves on the local grassroots level. That's how tobacco control has happened. And since you are empowered to help protect the young people in your community, as have the 21 other communities that have done this already, we're really glad to see that this is of interest to you. I do want to add that from the legal perspective, that Governor Cody, who was the governor when the smoke-free air law passed and when the age was raised to 19 to be sold tobacco and electronic smoking devices like e-cigarettes, he did request from the Office of Legislative Services in Trenton to confirm whether or not communities had the authority to pass a local Tobacco 21 policy, meaning that towns were not preempted by state law from passing a local ordinance that was stronger than what the state allows. The state allows for at least 19 years of age to be sold. And remember, the burden is on the seller, it's on the purchaser. You'll see many an article, many a newspaper story talking about it's now illegal for someone to purchase 21. That's just not the case. I believe that your town actually does have, a minor cannot possess tobacco. But with regards to the policies that have passed and the state law, the burden is only on the retailer, it is not on the seller. So be that as it may, Office of Legislative Services issued an opinion letter to the effect that there is no preemption. And so I did bring a copy of that letter for you. I can also send it to you electronically. But I think it's important from the borough attorney's perspective, or if anyone has any questions with regards to whether or not a town has the authority to pass that. I'm not sure if you want to talk about the e-cigarette licensing first, and then I can regroup on that and follow up, or how.
Let's go right into e-cigarettes, yeah.
Oh, okay. Do you want to?
Unless you have more to say on the 21.
Again, it's more or less the same issues with the e-cigarettes. What's worrisome regarding them is that there is little research. They've only been around for about 10 years, so we don't know what short-term or specifically long-term effects of this might be, so we have a lot of concerns. The reality is they contain nicotine, they contain other chemicals that are carcinogenic, yes, in smaller amounts, but how little is safe. And the other thing about e-cigs is that they target kids. I don't know too many adults who would be interested in smoking banana cigarettes or strawberry cigarettes, but they have all of these flavors so that they appeal to the kids. And it is absolutely where a lot of younger and younger kids are starting. And the numbers, we went through a period where smoking was decreasing among adolescents, and now it is starting to shoot way up again. So this is a real concern for us. Karen?
Sure. So again, with regards to electronic smoking devices, do you want to, yeah, go
No, I was
ahead.
just going to cover the health education
Go ahead.
portion, but you
Go
can
ahead.
clearly say that. What we were thinking, the revenues that we're taking in from the licensing can be used for health education in the schools for tobacco education. So we could actually take in some money and use that money.
Right.
for the
We would want the
children.
fee dedicated specifically to
Yeah.
that cause,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Right, and you may or may not have realized that the state of New Jersey used to provide money to towns to do something called taste tobacco age of sale enforcement. That would be when a young person would go with a representative from the health department and see whether or not they were sold tobacco. So the state used to provide funding to each town to do that, but that has since ended. I'm not sure whether or not you still have any leftover money from that, but you may want, if there's any information that you want to share on your taste.
We still do that. We do have some money on account in Pequannock, and we do that annually. So that's an active program, which
Right.
we will continue.
And it's
so.
a good program because you can find out whether or not any stores are actually selling to people that are under the age, and then decide what your community wants to do with those. And I'm sure like Gail probably has like information with regards to that, that she might want to.
Yeah, this past year in Pequannock, there was 69% noncompliance. Riverdale was 33% noncompliance. Florham Park was 75%, Bloomingdale 36%, and Kinnelon 60%. So they're not checking IDs, they're not in compliance, so it's a problem. It's a big problem.
And to give some perspective, in years past, when the state was funding the communities to do this, the noncompliance rate like hovered around like, it was like 8%, then it went to like 12%. So when you're talking about almost like, 1 out of 3 compliance checks is being sold some to, tobacco or an e-cigarette to minor, that's a concern for community members and for our organization, because like I said earlier, it's the #1 cause of preventable disease and death. And that's smoking. We're not even talking about e-cigarettes. E-cigarettes, there's already enough studies out there that show that dangerous chemicals and carcinogens that are in these e-liquids, they're not just water and flavorings, which again is an issue because the flavorings are there, according to the CDC, to attract young people. But there's components and chemicals like diacetyl. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with diacetyl, but it's a chemical that is approved by the FDA to be consumed in very small quantities because it has a buttery flavor. So for example, if you buy buttered popcorn already buttery flavored, okay, it probably has it in there, unless you're getting the organic stuff that says real butter. But if it says butter flavoring, more likely than not, it's diacetyl. However, the people that work in the factory that make that buttered popcorn were exposed to it in an inhaling situation because the popcorn is being tossed and turned and coated with this diacetyl chemical to get the buttery flavoring. And what happened with those workers in that factory is that many of them came down with this awful lung disease, which has a very lengthy name, which I can't remember because I'm not a doctor. But bottom line is that you need a lung transplant in order to survive. Okay, that is because they were breathing in diacetyl. And what is in almost every e-liquid substance which people breathe in but diacetyl? And its product is still not regulated by the government in that respect. So that's why we always turn to the locals and say, okay, if you have the authority and the power to do something about this and to protect young people and hopefully not have them, start to use these products or can help curb the access of that to them, we always want you to be thinking about that. With regards to the licensing, we have seen towns, the trend now is actually to do about $1,200 per retailer per store a year. Now, some people might think that's a lot of money, but I have gone to almost every council meeting where this has been discussed, and rarely do I see a member of the community that does come, and if they do come, I always ask, well, are you actually, getting reimbursed for those expenses, such as licensing fees? Because historically, University of California studied this issue with licensing fees for cigarettes, okay? And who was reimbursing the retailers for any type of fee like that? And what they concluded was that the industry was actually reimbursing the individual license holders, the stores that sell cigarettes, for these types of fees. And it was couched within their promotional and marketing allowances in the contracts that they have with the tobacco companies that provide them with the cigarettes that they buy. So we are under the impression that with 21 towns that have done this already, many of them doing $1,200 a license, it's no surprise that it may very well be that they are getting reimbursed just like they have been in the past for regular cigarette licenses. And if you actually think about it, in New Jersey, the tobacco industry has spent over $330 million a year just to market cigarettes. That's a number that's probably about 10 years old at this point. That was before e-cigarettes came on the market. So if the industry is spending $330 million just to market cigarettes in New Jersey, do you think $1,200 a license for 10 stores is really going to make a difference? Most likely than not, it's probably a blip and they don't even care. It's just a cost of doing business. Okay, so what does that mean for you? Well, that means for you, as was mentioned by Gail, that if you don't have any more money to do taste compliance or you want to do educational programming in your town, then that money can go towards that. And that makes a lot of sense when communities don't have money. So one of the things that the state is looking to do is to do a licensing of e-cigarettes. We're not sure when and if that's going to take place, but it would not be surprising that if they do that, that they will preempt towns that have not done this already. So our thought is with communities, when we talk to them and educate them on this, if this is of interest to them, to move on this sort of swiftly, because you don't want to lose that opportunity to bring in that funding if the state bill actually happened and they decide to preempt towns that haven't done it, already.
Is there legislation already on the table to do that?
Every time it comes up with the budget, it comes up, okay, when they're talking about increasing tobacco taxes or having a licensing fee, it's all like involved in that. So, every year that it happens, the discussions happen, but then it doesn't happen. But with 21 towns doing this, and right now the state only charges $50 a license to sell cigarettes. It's been like that for now almost 20 years. $50 for a license to sell cigarettes, and it's the #1 cause of preventable disease and death. And our state spends $3 billion a year in healthcare costs, and yet it's still only $50 to sell these products. When used as intended, will hurt people. So, when the state, starts seeing that towns are getting $1,200 a license, they're going to wake up and go, wow, well, maybe we're going to do this, and we're going to charge $1,000 a license. If the cigarette industry or the e-cigarette industry is reimbursing all these retailers for this, then why don't we get the money? Why should we give it to the locals? So,
Any idea how much money is spent by the tobacco industry for lobbying through the state or national?
well, historically, usually the cigarette industry has been at least #1, 2, or 3 in spending at the State House.
Question, what is the fine for not complying with the current age
It's $250 for the first, $500 for the second violation, and $1,000 for the third.
So maybe that should be changed too, to give, if you're having 60% we're 36%. If you have 60, 70% non-compliance, that fine, if it was 2,500 first time, you think these retailers would pay a little more attention. To pay 250, the retailers, he's making that up by selling illegal aged cigarettes, I would imagine.
They cry, though.
I'm sorry?
They cry.
Of course they cry, but they would cry more and probably
If it was
stop doing
higher.
it if that fee was even higher. Can we control that locally, right? We can,
It's a state.
that's a state.
I don't know
State-
if we
We have to
can.
just look up, and I could talk with,
I don't know if we
the
can.
town attorney
Why not?
with regards to that, to see whether there is or is not preemption. I know that the state law is 250, 500, 1,000, but there are towns that, have actually done that retail food license suspension, for like some of that. It started with Princeton. Princeton was the first to do this in the 1990s, where they added into their ordinance, a retail food license suspension if cigarettes, I believe, were sold to a minor. I'd have to double check if that's exactly what it was for, but I do recall that it was a 3-day suspension. I don't know why they picked 3 days. I tried to find out, but, that was in the early 1990s. People retire.
All right, we'll look at that, because I think that's a bigger issue there, or as
But
big of an issue.
I have seen with the e-cigarette licensing ordinances that, if there's repeated offenses, that the license could get pulled, temporarily or
Sure,
perhaps not
sure.
renewed.
Right. Well, I think the fines are comical, actually. That's why you're seeing 70% non-compliance.
I think
Not
we
caught.
had a few that got $1,000, but not,
That's
Okay.
a good point, Mayor. That could very well be what's going on, right?
Now, not to be, ask the council if they have any questions. You have to ask the question. Obviously, it's a good thing. Who can dispute that? It's a good thing. But changing the age of 21 in Bloomingdale would be the 22nd community in town, in the state to do this. They'll just go to Wanacue and buy cigarettes. So I'm just playing that out. Obviously, if my town 100 yards away is still 18, it's good for Bloomingdale. I'm not dismissing that. It's a good issue. Who can argue that? But I just have to ask the question. Like, how does it,
Yeah,
18-year-olds
that's a good question.
still going to go somewhere else?
Right, and so, actually 19, so the state raised it to 19.
19.
You have to be 19
Okay.
to sell, unless you're in one of these other towns. So, in Massachusetts, there's a town called Needham, Massachusetts, and so they raised the age to 21 over 10 years ago. And nobody else was doing it. So they were basically like the whole of the donut or the whole of the bagel, and nobody around them did it, okay? And what happened over the course of 10 years was that they saw a dramatic decline in smoking rates amongst the teens in their community, and also sell rates of tobacco to those young people. Now, yes, some people did cross over and go there, but for the most part, the young people that were at that, high school level and college age level, or they got out of high school and they went to go work, there was a dramatic decline. So it does show that one town can make a difference. And that's why we do see, like, for example, like in Bergen County and in Essex County now, we see these clusters of communities near each other that are all doing the 21, because they're saying, okay, well, if that town did it,
Right.
I think that we should do it for ours, and it makes a statement, and it moves the, it moves
Get the
the
ball
initiative
rolling.
forward.
Right, no,
Right.
that's the obvious,
Right.
yeah. The other question, have any of these towns been challenged by the 7-Elevens and Quick Checks in the
Not
court of
that
law?
we're aware of, nope.
Okay, so we'd have to investigate that, too.
Yeah,
Does the
that's
council
okay.
have any questions for any of the ladies?
Well, I think it would be nice that, this is something that we do, that I think it would be a great, for us to challenge the other towns around us.
Right, we would have to go first, and then hopefully cause a cluster to do that.
Yeah, because my question was the same as yours, and, as part of the answer, obviously, if you're talking about high school kids, our high schools, by and large, go over to Butler. So I think, we definitely have to challenge them, because, it doesn't help if our high schoolers can't buy them at home, but can buy them, on their lunch break from school, so.
Right. No, all good discussions,
Right.
we'd have to
so
take the first step.
Obviously, we have to reach some sort of tipping point where,
Lobby other towns to
it's
join
not,
us, right.
Yeah.
And
that's
this
no
is
reason
right.
not to do it.
And this is what happened with smoke-free parks. So again, like your town was one of the first to do smoke-free parks. You were that hole in the donut or the hole in the bagel, in Say County that moved really quickly on not only that, but also banning the cigarette vending machines and the self-service displays of tobacco products, right? Because you thought it was the right thing to do. And look how many towns now. Now it's like hundreds of towns in New Jersey have banned cigarette vending machines, and actually it's federal law. You cannot have cigarette vending machines at all unless it's in an adult-only location where only adults go. But if states or towns did more like yours did completely, that's perfectly fine. But that would never, ever happen unless towns like yours did it. And actually, there was a town that got challenged, and they won all the way up in the Supreme Court of New Jersey. But smoke-free parks is a great example, because, I mean, I was there at the ground running with smoke-free parks, and there were just dots, a little one here, a little, and then people just said, wait a minute, you know what? This is a good idea. This is where kids congregate and kids play. And why is it that when they're at their school, you know, it's completely smoke-free fence to fence, but when they go and they practice, you know, sports or what have you, or they hang out with their family, they're going to concerts, or it's 4th of July, you know, people are smoking around them. So people thought, you know what, this is good, and there's the environmental benefit, right? Because cigarette butts are the number one type of litter that's picked up, and they're number two cause of preventable fires outside. So there were a lot of reasons to do it. It also saves with maintenance, right? You don't have your maintenance crew going and picking up so many cigarette butts. Are there going to be some people that are going to smoke in the park? Yes, but invariably, most of them won't. And then what happened was, when there was enough towns that did this, I was able to talk to Sustainable Jersey, which allows towns to become Sustainable Jersey certified. And they said, you know, it would be a really great incentive for communities to think about smoke-free parks, or that already have it, that to become Sustainable Jersey certified if they get points if they have 100% smoke-free policy. And that took about a year with Sustainable Jersey to do, but guess single-handedly did that. So now every town in the state of New Jersey, and there are over 250 to 300 towns that have 100% smoke-free parks, will get 10 points on their Sustainable Jersey certification or recertification. So if your community is Sustainable Jersey certified, or you're going to do that, please, next time this go around, the applications are due in June, you'll get your 10 points. So it does come back in really good ways, all these policies.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do.
Butler, is Butler a smoke, 21 smoking?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Because all our high school kids
That's what
that
Rich-
walk down
yeah,
Main Street,
Rich just
right?
said, yeah, we'll
They
have
go
to-
past 16 different
But
stores that they
here's-
can buy these cigarettes before they get to.
But here's what we would do, just like we do with every ordinance we do.
I'm just gonna tell you my opinion on this, is that because we're such a small town with not many retail or any businesses in this town, right? To put one more thing that makes it not as friendly, business friendly, I think we should be, I'm all for it, okay? If all our towns around us were doing this, and we were the only one not doing it, I would be with you guys voting for it. But because all our teenagers can get it on a 5-minute walk down to Butler, I would actually vote against this, because I don't think it's so business friendly. Get Butler, get towns around us to do this, and I would join.
And I guess another devil's advocate to your position is be the first to do it, and then reach out to your other communities to make them part of, so it is that cluster.
And if
of
they
everyone.
don't?
Well, if they don't, again, and you see it affecting businesses, well, I think it would be in public perception not good to retract something once you've
Well,
done it.
that's exactly right.
But it's an ordinance that could always be undone, you know,
Right,
so
and
anyway.
none of the towns, I can show you, none of the towns have retracted it, and again, there's no burden, extra burden on a retailer, because they already have to check for 21, and so it's not an extra.
Not for the age, right,
step that they
right.
have to-
Just loss of
27,
sales
Excuse me,
and-
they already have to check if somebody looks under the age of 27, but the benefit that you get is that you become a leader, as you have been in your community, to move forward on this. And actually, because you're saying that there aren't really that many businesses in the town, but each business is important, every single one is important. But the thing is that because you don't have as many businesses, this is probably a very easy reach to do, because you have a great health department, a great board of health that can work with the 10 or so stores that may be selling these products. And I think that that's an easy reach. You know, you don't have hundreds and hundreds like you would in like a Jersey City. But look, Patterson did it. Patterson's the 3rd largest city, and Trenton's about to do this.
And what's Patterson's non-compliance rate?
Regular Patterson did it.
I'm just saying, what's their non-compliance rate? Exactly, I mean, it's probably 70+%, so.
I'm sure.
Anyway,
I just want to add, everybody's hung up on the high school kids, but the law already that applies to everybody is up to 19. Most high school graduates are before 19.
Right.
So I think that's,
So it comes back to the compliance, and your fine not being big enough to make it a deterrent for these retailers to
Correct.
sell to 18-year-old kids. That's the issue.
Do we have any shops in town that sell them?
The e-cigs? Oh, they all do.
They all do?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you have the one shop that specifically is a vape e-cig shop, plus you have all the gas stations sell e-cigs. the electronic cigarettes.
I think how many, Gail?
There was
There-
11 in this
11.
town who sold either tobacco, it's probably 10 tobacco and 1 vape shop.
Right.
So
There's
we
another
would
guy in
assume
West
that,
Milford, there's several. So, you know, you see the advertisements, the whole nine
Right.
yards, and, you know,
Right. I'm surprised there's not more than 21 communities, but we can maybe make that more. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to have our attorney review all the questions that came up, such as, can we increase the fine on noncompliance? I want to just look at and I believe what you're presenting, just the legalities of being challenged and not superseding state rules. And once I get that blessing, then I will, privately, individually poll my counsel. And at our next meeting, February 7th, we will either be introducing an ordinance, or I'll be telling you to have the Board of Health move forward.
Okay.
Because the Board of Health is autonomous.
Yes.
And can do this anyway.
Right.
John, can I have one more thing to
Sure.
your to-do list?
Of course.
Reach out to the other towns surrounding us.
Of course,
This is
yeah.
a good
Right.
thing, right?
Right.
Is to invite these folks to have the education, right? And if we can all do it at once, that would be a strong message that you guys now can take to the state as well, right?
Now, Gil-
That here's a cluster of towns that are doing this for the good of it.
For sure.
Butler's Board of Health is the county, right? Morris County?
not sure,
I think it is, right?
it is the county.
They do the
Morris
county.
Yeah.
Kinnelon is Pequannock, right?
Yes.
Have you had that conversation there?
Not yet.
Okay, all right, I'm just curious. I will do that.
Yeah,
Sure.
that'd be great.
So, but I want
I
Dawn's
would do
opinion on some of these
Riverdale
questions.
after
I want everyone to digest the great information you gave us, because we just received this, so everyone can digest. And I said, I'll poll, and if I feel there's a support, we'll introduce ordinances for both issues. If not, I'll advise Gail and Linda to have the Board of Health proceed with the ordinances.
And if there's like a Passaic County Mayor's Association or a North New Jersey, or you have like a regional mayor's commission or council or association, we could always come and, do a brief educational presentation.
I have a mayor's breakfast coming up. I'll ask first, and then I'll let you know on that one.
And here's
that
just so that you have it, is what Belleville did, so you have something. Okay, so there's a copy of what Belleville did. They
Hey,
did
not to
one.
tell on him, but he's on New Jersey League of Municipality. He's an officer on there, so get him to talk about it at that level too.
That's a good point, right. There's always
I'm all
opportunities.
for it, but I
Right.
just see the business side of it. I don't want to be the only town doing it.
maybe you could be an
Appreciate that.
example.
Let's move on. Okay, I thank all three of you for being here very much, and in the next 2 weeks, we'll know what we're going to do, okay?
All right,
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Notice that just went, phew.
Oh, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't hear the comment
I did.
No, the mayor's meeting's at JR's.
Oh.
Thank you. We do not normally do this, we rarely do this, but I do have an early executive session that I will need to ask our members to exit the audience. It should not be more than 10 minutes, I hope, and then we'll invite everyone back in because I have a full agenda. So I need a motion to go into early executive.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay.
We resume in public session at 8:05 PM. Non-agenda items, there will be 2 non-agenda items. The first is the appointment of Andrew Bucksbaum to our Environmental Commission, and the second will be a resolution approving our sewer and water foreman to be permitted to take his vehicle home while he resides in Bloomingdale. And also, this has been past practice, but just realized it was not in the resolution specific to taking vehicles home, the deputy fire chief. So those are the 2 non-agenda items. Appointment for BEC and approval of sewer and water foreman and fire chief, deputy fire chief to take vehicles home. At this time, I need a motion for early public comment reserved for agenda items. Anyone wishing, please come on up.
Moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone? Seeing no one, motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You don't have to stay. Thanks, Frank. Okay, reports. Jane, do you have anything for us?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, just for everybody's information, it's on the website. The county clerk is collecting socks for soldiers during the month of February. And we have a bin upstairs, and it's on the website, the information. It all ties in with passports, I think.
You can donate socks, and if you do, you get a free passport photo, but
They're
that's
here, I think, on the 16th.
the 16th from 11 to 1. The clerk's office does a satellite once a month here. Then they have their satellite office in Wanacue as well.
And the box is right upstairs.
Thank you, Jane. Anything else? Good. Dawn, anything for us?
Nothing this evening, Mayor.
Any council member?
I do have the garden.
Yes?
We did set a date of birthday, April 22nd, for the grand opening. And within the month, we should have applications ready to go for plots.
Wonderful.
So
Good.
we don't have a flyer or anything for that yet, right?
No, we're working on that. I think
Okay.
our meeting is in a week, so we should have it right after that meeting in a week.
Okay, just a couple things, and before I go, anyone else? Just a couple things on my end. Budget process is moving along. I don't have a final worksheet to present to the Budget Committee yet, but we're getting there. The auditors have been here for the last 2 weeks preparing our annual financial statement, which is what I really need to then proceed. Also developing a capital plan for the governing body to review regarding road paving and projects and the like, which I'll have to you within the next few weeks. Just a couple things. The Rose Fund, the Recreation Open Space Fund meetings have been advertised for January 30th and February 15th, 7 p.m. here. As you know, by code, they have to have 2 public meetings to make recommendations on how to spend the open space and recreation tax. The other item is community grants and planning that we retain to monitor our affordable housing. Has begun the process of starting to administer our 100,000 affordable housing trust fund. We anticipate 5 to 10 members, residents will be able to take advantage of some sort of funding for home improvements and give us a qualified count on our affordable housing. Conversion to Butler Water and the bidding of Sloan Park. Bid openings are to be the end of February. Keep our fingers crossed that we can get this project going and this park open before the summer. I don't know if I reported that the Honor Society for Butler High School is doing fundraisers. They've raised about $4,000 to date to build a gazebo at the animal shelter. They're working in conjunction with our Public Works to have a build on April, I believe, 16th, and looking forward to that completion, and I'll keep you in the loop. 100th anniversary, Councilman D'Amato and Councilwoman Dawn Hudson and Mike Sotomayor, they've really been a big part of getting this off the ground. It's moving along quite well. We're looking at 2018 to do 2 large events, one in the winter, a winter-type fest, and one in June, firework time, but a lot more to come. But I just wanted to tell you that that's all working well, and any members and residents wishing to get involved, we can use your help. We are also, as you all recall, last year we applied and were successful for the community rating system, which saved our residents 10% on their flood insurance. Well, I'm sitting working with our engineer to do a few things to fine-tune that to get the discount up to 15%. Trying to get that filed by March so we can get an October rating and save our residents the maximum of 15%, or an additional 5%. I think the maximum is 20%. So I'll bring more to you as that comes. And just so everyone knows, Triborough Little League registrations have begun on their website, TriboroughLittleLeague.com, I believe. And also there's a Rutgers safety course that I will be putting on for any coaches who need to be certified on March 11th at 9 a.m. Look on our Facebook page for all the advertisements on that. So thank you. At this time, I need a motion for the consent agenda.
May I ask
Yes,
one question?
please.
I did note on the public events calendar, along your lines of the Pride Day, you guys have set for the 23rd. Typically, don't we do that the last weekend in September? Did you guys want to double check that before?
It's always the weekend after convention.
Right, but we usually, Pride Day has always been the last Saturday in September. So I just want to be sure that that date is correct. If we could just double check that maybe
I
tomorrow
have
at the
to look.
office.
It's not always the last.
It's the last number of years, it's been the last Saturday.
It all depends how it falls, but it just, I tie it to
It's
the
the
Bible.
fourth. It's always the fourth Saturday because there's 5 Saturdays in September this year. I can look at it.
You know what, can you look at it tomorrow
Yeah.
and let me know?
When have you marketed the 5K yet at all?
We haven't marketed it yet, but it's the event calendar, obviously.
You use-
something that's all tied together.
Pride Day date. Okay, I'll double check.
Yeah.
I don't know why I put the 23rd if that's the case. There had to be a reason. But if it is the 23rd, is that a problem?
No, but I just need to know for planning for,
Okay. I believe it is the 23rd.
For you guys and for the hall?
I'll touch base with you tomorrow on that. All right, thank you. I need a motion now for approval of the consent agenda, removing 2 members from the fireman role. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving to pending business, the second final reading and public hearing on Ordinance 1, 2017, establishing an account to accept donations for the 100th anniversary of the Borough of Bloomingdale. Public notice statement, please.
Mr. Mayor, this ordinance was posted in the municipal building, published in the Herald News, copies available to the public, said a motion may be made that it be read by title.
And who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that would be an ordinance of the Borough of Bloomingdale and the County of Passaic, the State of New Jersey, to establish an account to accept donations for the 100th anniversary of the Borough of Bloomingdale.
And I need a motion to open public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wishing to speak to Ordinance 1, 2017? Seeing no one, motion to close.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
And who moves to adopt?
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Council members D'Amato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Okay, next is second final reading of Public Ordinance 2, 2017, amending Chapter 92 zoning, Article 11 definitions. Public notice statement, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this ordinance was posted in the municipal building, published in the Herald News, copies available to the public, said a motion may be made that it be read by title.
And who makes that motion?
So moved?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And that would be an ordinance of the Borough of Bloomingdale and the County of Passaic and State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 92 zoning, Article 11 definitions of the Code of the Borough of Bloomingdale.
And I need a motion for public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wishing to speak to 2, 2017? Seeing no one? Motion to close.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
And roll call, please.
Is that close or adoption?
That-
You said close.
All in favor to close.
Aye.
And now, had a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second?
And do you need a roll call?
Yep.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Delariva.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving to new business. Item 12A. Excuse me.
0.95.
A motion for resolution 2017 1.95, payment of the bills. Who makes that motion?
So moved. Second?
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Hudson.
Yes.
Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, I need a motion for 217 1.96, transfer resolutions. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Any discussion?
Typically transfer first month like this, or?
The largest reason for the transfer is we received, you see where they're going to. Tax assessor, we did a final appeal very late in the year on the nursing home, and so there was a balance bill on that. And the $14,000 for buildings and grounds, the center door on the old coal bay no longer opens, and that's a repair on that center door. Someday, when funds permit, we need to deal with that building entirely, but that's a repair, an unsafe condition on that door. Primarily, that's why that's happening. Roll call, please.
Where are we at, 96?
96, yep.
Councilmember Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
I need a motion for two tax office resolutions, 1.97 and 1.98, I'm sorry, 3 and 1.99. Who makes that motion first?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? And again, these are just various refunds on overpayments or settlements on tax lien certificates. And a roll call, please.
Councilmembers Yazdi.
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Sorry, my eyes. Hudson.
Yes.
Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Next, I need a motion for Resolution 2017 1.100, authorizing contract with International Fireworks for our late June 23rd, I believe, fireworks celebration. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion?
How much?
$8,000. Roll call, please.
Councilmembers D'Amato. Del Ripa.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Thank you. Now I need a motion for Resolution 2017 1.101, authorizing contract with CME Associates for general planning services and litigation support services for affordable housing units. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Just for the record, this contract's being entered into, not to exceed $20,000, will be paid with escrow accounts pertaining to litigation on affordable housing, as well as redevelopment in the borough, which we will be addressing on item J. But this will be the planner helping the borough through that process. So very exciting. Looking forward to moving forward here. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Del Ripa.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, I need a motion, Resolution 2017 1.102, authorizing contract with Agnoli Engineering for remapping of streams in the flats and Knowles Road. First, who makes that motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I am pleased to report that there is enough funding left in last year's 2014, 15 flood mapping that we did on the Oakwood Lake session, so we do not have to fund any additional money for the engineer services. Last year, we funded a small amount to do a cursory review on the Van Dam Flats area and Knowles Road, and our engineer, Agnoli, who did the other remapping where we successfully took out 180 some odd homes from a floodplain, is confident there's some great erroneous mapping errors here as well. So this is authorizing with no new funding, no new borrowing to take place. Part of my capital plan will be some money we needed for surveying to be done, roughly 8,000 to 9,000. So we'll try to either get that in the municipal budget or, fund it if we have to another way. But this is huge to get homes out of erroneous FEMA flood maps, which FEMA has no intention of repairing themselves. So that is what we're doing here tonight. So it's another very exciting action by the governing body. So any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Hudson.
Yes.
Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
Del Ripa.
Yes.
Now, with that said, we need to have a special meeting or a meeting at our next council meeting, inviting all those affected in the flood map area. I believe I emailed the governing body a copy of the map showing the area up to Knowles, part of Reeve, and most of the flats. I already have our list of affected homes to mail residents a letter, but I was holding back to see when we want to meet. We can either try to do it on our regular meeting of February 21st, or if you think it's too big of an item, to do a special meeting on the 28th. What's the pleasure of the governing body? If you recall, we did a special meeting on Oakwood, and it was a packed house and a lengthy meeting.
How many residents we talking about down there?
Do you remember the label count over 50 to 60?
I think we need to do it separate.
Okay, all right, so I need a motion to authorize a special meeting strictly for the purpose of remapping flood maps in the borough of Bloomingdale, 2/28 at 7 PM. Who makes that motion?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So Jane will get those letters out, hopefully by next week, latest. Please mark your calendars, that's a good one. The engineer's available either day, 7 PM. Okay, thank you very much. Next item is Resolution 2017-103, authorizing release of the maintenance bond for Avalon Bay. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second?
This was approved by the engineer, had no objections to the release of this maintenance bond. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
Del Ripa.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Thank you. The next, I would like for a motion for Resolution 1.104. This is designating the borough of Bloomingdale as a stigma-free zone. First, let me ask for a motion, then I'll explain.
So moved.
Discussion. I noticed a mayor colleague of mine in Woodland Park, I noticed recently became a designated stigma-free zone. And what this pertains to, and I'll read you portions of the resolution. it references percentages, 20% of youths between 13 and 18, and 13% of youths between 18 and 15 experience severe mental disorders in any given year. The stigma associated with the disease of mental illness is identified as the primary reason individuals fail to seek the help they need to recover from the disease. The stigma associated with the disease of mental illness is identified as the primary reason individuals fail to seek help they need to recover. Stigma-free zones aim to inspire public interest and open dialogue about stigma, raise awareness of the disease of mental illness, and create a culture wherein residents who have the disease of mental illness feel supported by their community and neighbors, and feel free to seek treatment for the disease without fear of a stigma. Promoting awareness that there can be no health without mental health will break down barriers and encourage residents of all ages to be mindful of their mental health and ask for help when needed. Local resources are available to treat mental illness so that residents do not suffer alone or feel hopelessness. We'll establish a stigma-free zone. We'll raise awareness of the resources and encourage residents to engage in care as soon as needed to identify so recovery can begin, hope is inspired, and tragedies are avoided. This began in Hoboken. There's a number of municipalities who have followed suit, and we are going to be one of them. This will result in the formation of a committee that I'm still working on. The committee will be partners from the Board of Education, partners from Municipal Alliance, from our senior group, from youth sports, from just at-will residents, and the Board of Health will be the one primarily implementing this. This committee will just do exactly what the resolution states and bring awareness to the seriousness of mental illness. We all too often in our borough tragically suffered a young teenage suicide last year, and these are the type of things we need to make both young and old feel comfortable in knowing there's support and resources for them. So that is what we are doing, naming Bloomingdale a stigma-free zone. This is the first step in doing this resolution to start our new program, which I believe is going to be very important and a great asset for our borough. So, any other comments? Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilmembers Yazdi,
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Next discussion, we have a deadline on March 10, 2017 for our Passaic County Open Space Municipal Grant Program. I first will discuss the project and then ask for a motion to move on that. Now, again, as everyone knows, this is what has funded our multiple-year drainage project, our restrooms at the ball field, our walking track, our grandstand rehabilitation, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I know a couple ideas that have been floated. Councilman Sandemeyer wanted to proceed on the renovation of Bogue and Leisure Field basketball courts with new rims, new macadam and the like. The tennis court was floated out as an idea because that's in rough shape to rebuild the entire tennis court. I would like to narrow it to those two and have the governing body talk and decide which one you feel we should go for 2017 grant to be done in 2018. What's the pleasure of the governing body?
Is it too big to do both?
I believe so. You're probably looking at about 100 grand on the tennis court, and I would imagine probably roughly the same on the basketball court. So normally we get 100,000.
I think the basketball courts are used, from what I see, significantly more.
Yeah, no, again, and I think we kind of said to Mike wanted, Councilman Sandemeyer wanted this, I think, last year, and we said, Mike, let's go phase 2, final drainage. So it was kind of like an unwritten promise to say, we'll do it now. So, but I just wanted to throw it out there, because then I would ask that 17, if it's basketball courts, I support that, that 18 is absolutely tennis courts.
Absolutely.
And then 19 should be a dog park somewhere in town. That's down the road. Unless we win the lottery, we could do it sooner. Yes,
When do we start looking for grants for a rec center?
when money becomes available. Anything else? No. There's just no money. There's very little Fed money. Green Acres money it's not flowing. There's not a lot of money. I mean, there was a heyday in the late 1990s and early 2000s where there was that kind of money, but there really isn't much. But
Good.
I mean, I'm always looking. Believe me, I'm always looking, and I'll be the first to submit a grant for such. Because we do need that. But at the same time, if we do rec center, I think it needs to be at Boston Field. You got to move utility, so you need to do a utility building too, so. But yeah, some big bucks. But yeah, we'll always look for Fed money on that one. You know, there was the downtown enhancement Fed money kind of opened up again, but that's where we applied for $1 million to finish Main Street's lanterns and pavers, and hopefully we get that funding this year. So is that the consensus? We apply, so I can advise the engineer, and he and I can begin working on the grant application for our deadline, okay? So with that said, I need a motion for resolution 1.05, seeking a Passaic County open space grant for the restoration of the Leisure Field and Bogue Pond basketball courts.
So moved.
Do I have-
Second.
And any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers D'Amato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Item K. I'm sorry, item J. Item J. And item K finally works well with that, and I'll introduce Travis in a moment. Discussion and appointment of a town redeveloper, M&T Realty LLC. To me, this is one of the biggest days in Bloomingdale's history in a very long time. Tonight, we are appointing a borough redeveloper. It is a conditional appointment based on additional negotiations, but this all has to do with the recent expansion of the quarry, which is going to enable Finbar has represented their desire to donate land to the borough. The borough has would consider developing, conveying the development parcel to a developer. Councilman Yazdi and I met with a number of developers, and not to say this is the final one, but this is the first step in real hardcore negotiations. What this development agreement states is that we will enter into a pre-development agreement with M&T Realty Partners LLC. That there will be a 120-day negotiation period. And the reason we cannot fine-tune the negotiation, if you all recall, is the representation from Tilcon was that they would provide site work to the 32 acres of this development, this court-ordered, 2008 court-ordered affordable housing development. So until the developer understands the true full amount of site work that's going to be provided, it's difficult to give an exact number. But the development agreement states a range that the borough would enter into a sale for this property between $9 and $12 million. And that is all based on a third-party negotiation with Tilcon. This developer's agreement will allow us to begin that conversation with the developer and Tilcon to finalize a price. And if we're not satisfied, then we move on. The one advantage so far that we have felt with this developer is that they're willing to commit in downtown redevelopment. This is not purely a residential developer. A lot of who Ray and I spoke to were purely residential. Their only interest was on the Mere Tract to build the affordable housing and no other interest. This developer's agreement clearly states the borough desires to negotiate with the developer in furtherance entering into this purchase agreement of the development parcel and a redevelopment agreement for the redevelopment area. The borough will be declaring a redevelopment area on our downtown, identifying where this developer will seek to improve through the acquisition of properties for to redevelop portions of the borough's downtown. So it's kind of a package deal. It's redeveloping Mere, satisfying our affordable housing plan, but at the same time committing to the development of our downtown. So on many levels, this is the start of something very special for the borough, to build a revenue stream that we sorely need and achieve and satisfy the affordable housing plan that was court-ordered in 2008 and reaffirmed just last year. So I'm excited about this. The document will be released once we approve it this evening, and then I'm sure there's members of the public who wish to see it, and Linda, I have a copy for you right here. With that said, I had a motion on it already? I'm sorry? I got excited and started talking about it? All right, so do I have a motion? We'll do it by resolution 1.106 to appoint the Borough Town Redeveloper M&T Realty LLC. And for the record, they're a division of Edgewood Properties. So if anyone wishes to Google Edgewood Properties, you can see some of the work they've done. Recently did a downtown development in Somerville, New Jersey. Quite an impressive product. So anyone make that motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Della Ripa,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Sandemeyer,
Yes.
Yazdi,
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
Thank you. And Kay kind of works nice with that. I met a great new resident. I don't new. I say Travis, how long you've lived in town? You and
Just over a year.
just over a year. I put out on the Facebook, a request for volunteers, and I got a great response from a lot of residents. Matter of fact, after tonight, we only have one vacancy in the entire town on all the boards and commissions, and that's the Board of Health. So I'm pleased to introduce Travis Sullivan, and Anne Marie, was it? Your wife? And his wife Anne Marie. And Travis is going to be put on our Economic Development Commission, which meets, their organization is Thursday. They have a real full agenda. I know they've reached out already, Travis, John did, and it's a great commission who's really, ready to run and do some great things in our downtown and overall economic growth. So with that said, I would ask for a motion to approve and appoint Travis Sullivan as a member of the EDC. Who makes that motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And that's for a 5-year unexpired seat, which expires the end of this year, because it's an unexpired seat, you're filling a vacancy. But it's nice, get your feet wet, and if you like it, then we keep you going. Now, I am going to be at the meeting, but now that you're here, I am going to swear you in. I'd ask the council to indulge me for a moment. Travis, I'd ask you to come on up here for a quick second. Put you on the spot. How are you? Again, I thank you for getting involved. Yes, we had met, originally we were talking environmental, then he told me he had a business background, running a large family-owned nursery to now a very large Bergen County landscaping business. So great business experience to bring to the borough, and I appreciate getting involved. So I'd ask you to raise your right hand and simply repeat after me. I, Travis Sullivan.
I, Travis Sullivan.
Any relation, Dawn?
No.
There's a lot of us.
She just
Do
said that.
solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and the governments
and the governments
established in the United States
established in the United
and
States
in this state
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly
the
perform
duties of office
the duties of office
of the Economic Development Commission
of the Economic Development Commission
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you very, very much for getting involved.
Thank you.
I'll ask you to sign this real quick. Right there. And I'll see you Thursday. It's gonna be a good meeting.
Hey, Joe. Make sure you wear this on Thursday.
Thank you. Great meeting you too. Welcome. Thank you. We got it for 20 years, Jack. All right. Thank you, Travis. Okay, moving along. Next item, I believe we're tabling that, right? I need a motion to table item L. Wasn't ready yet for the liquor license transfer. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That hopefully will be on our next agenda. The next is I need a motion to introduce ordinance number 4, 2017, amending our fee ordinance to include a $100 marriage ceremony fee to be dedicated to the animal shelter. First, let me ask for a motion.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Whoop. What are we eyeing?
I'm sorry?
All in favor?
That's
Oh, yeah, aye.
Do you want a roll call? I marry a lot of people, and I always ask for, no, every year we do. And we always ask for we ask for a donation to the animal shelter. And, you know, I didn't even think about that.
You're wondering why
I
everyone
perform ceremonies for a lot of people. Is that better? Edit that part for my spouse who will watch this meeting. No. So I asked for donations, and people are very generous, and some give, some don't. But I just feel we're going to put it in ordinance that it's a mandatory $100 fee for the mayor to marry you, and it's going to go to the animal shelter. That's what we're doing here. And just to keep it even Steven, all right? And hopefully raise some money for the shelter. So we had a motion, we have it all in favor. Second and final reading, February 7th, 7 PM. We're good then?
Yep.
Next, I need a motion to appoint Andrew Bucksbaum to our Environmental Commission. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Andrew's lived in town a number of years, reached out, wants to get involved, was real excited about the BEC, and I put him in touch with Councilman Costa, who's our liaison, and Frank O'Reilly, our chairman, And they've already sent him all the minutes, all the good stuff, and their first meeting is, I believe, the first Wednesday of February, the 1st. So that's a great fill there. And the next I need, do we have it? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is item, I need a motion for resolution 1.07. And that would be for the approval to allow the DPW/sewer and water foreman and the deputy fire chief bring their vehicles home, again, under the parameters that already exist for those, business use only, no family members transported, and again, the vehicle stays in town unless it's business related. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second?
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Hudson,
Yes.
Sandemeyer,
Yes.
Yazdi,
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now I need a motion for late public comment.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone wishing to speak, please come on up, state your name and address for the record. Seeing no one, motion to close.
So moved.
Second?
We do have one item for late executive session. It will be quick. Personnel, action may be taken, and obviously the public will be given the opportunity to speak on that if action is to be taken. Schedule for governing body, February 7th, council work session, 7 PM, and a regular meeting, February 21st. At this time, I need a motion to go into executive session.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And that would be at 8:38. Okay, we're back in public session at 8:46. What I would like to suggest for the governing body to consider by motion, you, James? We'll do resolution 1.108. But just to give some background for the public and everyone, last summer, well, everyone knows our finance department is run by one individual, our treasurer, who wears about 12 hats and just works a lot of hours. And last year, we had Michael Yazdi, who's a college student, work as an intern, unpaid internship in the finance office, and was a shining star, and really performed to a high level and really lessened the workload of our treasurer. The goal for the borough is to go find someone full-time for a, replacing treasury down the road 6, 7, 8 years from now, but we've got to start planning for those things. In the meantime, to relieve that, I'd ask the governing body to consider the hiring on a part-time basis for $15 an hour at a 25-hour week between now and the end of June. Mr. Michael Yazdi as part-time, it would be assistant to the CFO. That would be the title. And then in June, once we have the budget process completed, we could revisit if that could be extended, both part-time and extended, considering full-time for, another employee. I'm not sure when college is done, but that's something we'll revisit in June. So I think that clarifies it. And is there any further discussion?
Just want to, the council has been talking about getting Sherry help for
The treasurer.
treasurer for the last couple of years because of the workload that she has. With Michael's now experience from being an internship, he's a perfect fit to continue working for the borough on a part-time basis, and he would be a great asset to the finance department, so.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of this.
And I said, he was a shining star, and our treasurer is a tough worker and by the book and tough to work for, and he did extremely well, which is why it's going to be, to Councilman's point, a great fit. Any other comments? So I didn't even get a motion on that, did I? Can I have a motion on 1.108?
So moved.
Second?
And I'd ask for a roll call.
Councilmember Sandemeyer,
Yes.
Councilman Yazdi,
Recused.
Councilman D'Amato,
Yes.
Delariva,
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Okay. At this time, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And we adjourn at 8:47-ish.